Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Something that I've not done in a really long time. I want to show you some of my current creative world. I want to do a little bit of a world tour. The reason being is I've actually been on holiday for the past couple of weeks. I've taken a little break off of YouTube, and I don't actually have a video ready for today. So I thought that it might be fun for us to go down memory lane just a little bit, and I can show off some of the things that I've been building over this past year, and maybe I can even learn to talk again in the process. So what you may or may not know is the way that I have fun in Minecraft and the way that I build things and design things and have fun is that I build stuff in rows in my creative world. I have a nice big super flat world that I like to build and design stuff in, and I build it all in long lines like this. This is how I kind of like devise stuff. This is how I design stuff. This is how I like to arrange everything. And depending on what way it was built, either like going up or down, you kind of get to see a little bit of the past. So as I go down this row right here, we get to go further and further down into the past. And the same thing applies. If I go this way, then those builds are even older and older and older as we keep going through the world. And what I want to do is I want to show you the most recent line of builds that I have been working on. I don't know how old these are exactly, but the way that I'm going to do this is as I show you each build individually, and I'll even start with this one right here, which is one of my more recent-ish sort of suburban houses. I will leave a number on the screen in the corner for each build that I show you. This will be number 1, and you can look down below in the description and you'll be able to see a number 1 and a link to a video that will show you how to make each individual build. So or you go down to the description, you find number 1, and you would find the link to this tutorial right here. If indeed a build has a tutorial, because not all of them will. Trust me, I kind of build I kind of build loads of weird stuff, and not everything ends up having a tutorial, but you'll see that as we go through. That is enough talking, however. I'm going to kind of contradict myself because now I'm going to talk even more. If you do enjoy this little world tour, however long it might be, there'll probably be a lot of chatting, or maybe it's not your cup of tea, but if it is, please leave a like. Let me know whether you'd like to see any of this again in the future, because I'm going to be building loads and loads and loads and loads, and maybe I'd even make another one of these kind of sort of, you know, soonish as I build enough stuff. So you'll have to let me know whether you enjoy it. Without any further ado, let's do this. Whoosh. So, build number 1 that we have here is my suburban house. I don't know which number this is. I'm going to take a wild guess right now. I'm going to say that it's number 16. I might be wrong about that. But it's a large suburban house. I actually have the interior of this house devised as well. It's all nice and set and laid out. You might be able to see some of it through the windows. But this is just a little bit of a look at it. If you want to see things in greater detail, look for number 1 in the description and you'll be able to find it. And just as a little bit of a cheeky peek, you can see that the interior is kind of nicely laid out and done as we go through here. But that's number 1. Now, the second set of builds that I want to show you actually come in a whole set. So the first of the 5 builds that I'm going to show you are here. So number 1, this is an Apple computer. Unfortunately, after swapping to Bedrock Edition, for some reason, that item frame can't exist next to a pressure plate with an Apple inside of it. Otherwise, it'd kind of look like, you know, an Apple computer. The next build here is a little dartboard, and we have a similar sort of deal here with the arrows and the item frames. They don't go together very well with the buttons anymore. And if we move down a little bit, here we have a pool table right here, which looks pretty cool. It can be customized further with signs that are placed on the inside of the pool table, and you can actually place balls and stuff as well, which makes it look a lot better. As we move on down here, we actually have a little tennis table, which equally also had paddles. For some reason, these signs that made them look like paddles have disappeared. But it did look really, really good until for some reason the table has broken over time. And finally, we have an arcade machine. And again, it has broken a little bit because it relied on the fact that you could place a sign inside of a banner and a creeper head inside of it, but that was a really cool looking arcade machine. And it also seems as though the two arm stands underneath it as well have been pushed apart, but they would be in the middle there as well to look like joysticks. Now, all 5 of these together were all one video, which is why I have just showed you all the 5. And you'll be able to find the video down below. It'll actually be marked as number 2. It's like 5 awesome things to add to your Minecraft houses. At number 3, we have the Adventure Time Treehouse. This is but a little mini version of the treehouse. Very easy to make, really, really awesome looking. It is quite small, hence why it is referred to as a mini version of the treehouse, but if you like Adventure Time, it's kind of like a must-have in your world. I love this thing. So that is the 3rd build that I'm going to be showing you. I would seriously recommend that. It's one of my favourite cartoon builds that I've ever made because it is so distinctive. At number 4, this doesn't have a tutorial. This is a jungle-style treehouse that I made that I just, for some reason, couldn't get on with. By couldn't get on with, I mean that I don't like it. So I designed the whole thing. I think it's kind of cool in some ways. It's very varied. It's got loads of weird little different rooms. All the rooms ended up being way too small. Doesn't work very well. And it just, for whatever reason, I just couldn't get on with this build. But perhaps if you wanted to make something similar, then this might inspire you a little bit, what I'm showing you now. At number 5, we have my safe treehouse. It has walls surrounding it that keep out mobs because of the magma blocks, and just in case you want to be extra safe, it has a hidden away parkour course that switches up and down, and you can retract it, and whatever the opposite word of retract is, protract it, whatever. You can make it appear and reappear. And on the other side here, inside the boundaries, you have a pretty cool treehouse with multi-levels and all sorts of fun stuff. That's my safe treehouse. I really liked this build, and nobody else did but me. At number 6, we have one of the messier and more insane modern houses that I have ever made. This has one of my favourite interiors that I have ever designed. This is a massive modern mansion with a set of water slides. They don't have water on them at the moment, but they can. It has a big outdoor water pool. It has a nice lounging area both below and on the middle level, and it even has a garden, and it's got so many different hidden entrances and exits and rooms. I'll give you a slight tour of them now. Like, it's literally like one of my favorite interiors that I've ever designed and made. Like, there's just something about it that all just goes together, and it's so wacky as well. Like, there's even a little archery range in here too, just to give you guys a bit of perspective. But I actually show off the entire interior in the tutorial. Very difficult to say that is, but yeah, if you want to check that out, that's one of my favorite modern mansions that I've ever made. I love that thing. Moving along to number 7, we have a wooden survival house. The wooden survival house features many levels. It even has a hidden room, and it even has an obsidian portal that will take you all the way to the Nether, all the way up at the top. And I have had pigmen come through that, which is a very scary experience, honestly. Really was. At number 8, we have something that's kind of interesting. So this kind of gives you a little bit of a view into what you sometimes have to go through to make a thumbnail. So this is a hidden base that I made. And it's basically, the idea is that you take a minecart from the outside, go through that wall, through that very small gap, and you take the minecart and it takes you to all of these little hidden interconnected modern rooms. And this is how you would make a thumbnail for it. Like, you'd make something like this, and you'd zoom in, and then you'd clip that and then edit it a little bit. And I just thought that that might be kind of fun to show you. It doesn't really show you, actually it does show off the base very well. And I just thought that that might be kind of fun for you to see. That's what sometimes us YouTubers have to go through. It's a tedious process, but that is number 9, maybe? I don't know. At number hopefully 10, we have Dusty Depot. Dusty Depot is a particular part of the map, and actually I don't think it even exists anymore, part of the map out of the game Fortnite. I've had loads of requests to make Fortnite builds, and this is one of them. Don't really have too much else to say. Again, I don't even think it exists anymore. At number 11, we have the very creepy Tomato Town Pizzeria. This is another Fortnite related build. It's part of the map, and I actually think it has been destroyed since. I think Tomato Town had a little bit of a rehaul. But nevertheless, if you are a fan of the game, then you might want to add this to your Minecraft world. Here we have another set of builds that are all out of one video. On the left, going right, we have a soccer pitch / football pitch. We have a basketball court, a tennis court, and then finally a swimming pool. All of these are all out of one video, and you can once again find that in the description below. I'm a little depressed at how easy and how short of a time it took for me to forget which number we're on. I'm gonna drop the number system. I honestly can't even remember what this one is. What, like 14, 15? I don't even know. But regardless, this is a modern style treehouse that also has an underground base attached to it. This was once again built for kind of like a little thumbnail, and you can see all of the rooms individually, and you can see how you would get up and down the treehouse and how it all connects together. And up in the top here you can also see as well how you might lay out the little mini treehouse. Next up, we have a 3-for-1 special. I made a video showcasing 3 very different builds of all different styles, of all different types, all in one video. The first of which is a modern style survival house, a starter house of course, and again, these all 3 are out of the same video. It's got a little bit of room to it, it's got a bit of a defending point on the outside of the house. It's in a very cool modern style. It's very simple to make. As we move along the line, we have a spruce style tree house, one of my favorite kinds of tree houses to make. And last but not least, we have an underwater yet above water house, which you would of course make underwater. It's just that I designed it on land, you know how it is. But yeah, all 3 of those can all be made in under like 10 minutes each, sometimes even like 5, and they're all cool little starter builds to add to your world. What we have here is a modern townhouse. So all there is to this is that you can repeat a particular part of this build. Like if you just imagine like what you can see on the screen now, it's kind of hard to see. What you can see on the screen now, like on the right, is repeatable, and you can keep repeating it over and over again, and you can populate your towns and cities and stuff with just one style of build. And that's what this is. This is a modern townhouse that's kind of like a weird little design, but kind of really fun, really easy to make, indefinitely repeatable until you eventually run out of room, and it's even decorated on the inside. So if you're kind of looking for this sort of style of build to fill your cities up with, then look no further. This is a cool little one that I designed and made. This build is Durburger. Durburger is, and maybe was, I don't know whether it still exists in the game Fortnite, a part of the Fortnite map. Durburger is one of the restaurants that is in Greasy Grove. Or was in Greasy Grove. Again, it's hard to keep up with these things. Also seems as though Homer Simpson himself is visiting Durburger. That just kind of looks like the Simpsons family car. Kind of classic. But yeah, if you're interested in Fortnite, then I'm sure you'd love to make Durburger. This is a Fortnite golf cart. The golf cart was, or is, again, I'm not that familiar with Fortnite, I'm sorry guys, I really should know this a little bit better, was or is a little vehicle that you can patrol around on in the game of Fortnite, and it looks very, very similar to this. And if you wanted to make it, it's kind of cool to just drop in a random city. Like, even if you're not like making a little Fortnite map for yourself, then it's kind of like a cool thing just to kind of like drop in a city on the road somewhere, just to kind of like, just as a little nod, you know, to the game. Here we have a Kick the Buddy survival house. On the inside of this you would find a small survival base, and it is all modelled after the Buddy from the game Kick the Buddy, which is a mobile game in which you eradicate the Buddy. I feel sorry for him, but you know, he seems happy, he's got a smile on his face. This is a simple yet awesome suburban style house. It has a porch, it has a balcony on the front, plenty of room in the surrounding gardens. It actually has a pretty decent extensive garden at the back, featuring a shed and several little farms that we have here. And it even has a back balcony as well, which you can kind of admire said garden from. It's quite a cool little build. I'm pretty sure that I show you how to make all of it in the video, and I show you all of the rooms extensively. It's kind of a cool suburban house. I'd definitely recommend it. This build is Fenton Works, which is from the show Danny Phantom. Every time I look at this build, I see the Mario mushroom right here. Can you guys see what I'm on about? Can you see the little eyes and kind of like the mushroom head? Yeah, it's kind of like a crazy build, but if you ever like Danny Phantom, if you've ever watched it, if you're interested in it, then kind of a really cool one to add to your cities. It's one of those where you can kind of like add it to a city, just like a regular Minecraft city, and just kind of leave it. People will come across it and they'll be like, what even is that? And then you get to tell them. Next up, we have the Fix-It Felix Jr. arcade building. Something like that, from the movie Wreck-It Ralph. This is the hotel slash apartment building that Ralph is trying to wreck in the actual game inside the movie. I'm sure that you guys know what I'm talking about, but it's a really cool build anyway, and it is also one of those that you can just add to like a regular city, which are some of my favorite builds. Cartoon builds, movie builds, stuff like that you can just kind of like add to a city and people might not know what it is, and it looks kind of like normal, but for those of you that do know what it is, it's a really cool thing to just kind of come across. Here is my modern beachfront mansion that is not currently on a beach. It has a little tiki bar, a speedboat, it has a pool with a little bit of a water slide slash waterfall, and it's just kind of like a cool, really easy modern style mansion that you can put on your waterfront. It's actually designed to lead directly into the water, hence why it has a speedboat right in front of it. Definitely a cool design, definitely recommend. This is the original Titan Tower from the show Teen Titans, not Teen Titans Go, the original one. And it's a very cool building, very distinct, and again, sometimes I just like to put stuff like this in regular cities just to see who notices. Here we have a small wooden survival house, really easy to make, really cool sleek design, and it also has quite a lot of room on the inside. I really like this little build. It's a cool survival house. I would absolutely recommend making this, especially if you're in survival. If you want something that looks cool as well as is really easy to make, that's your build. Cleveland's house from the Cleveland Show. Need I say more? If you like the Cleveland Show, maybe you want to make his house. Here we have a modern skyscraper. I really love this thing. The reason that I like it so much is because it's such a simple design, yet it looks awesome. It fits in so well to a modern landscape. And the best part about this build in particular is you can make it as high as you like. This particular one only has about 4 or so floors. However, you can make it as high as the sky limit if you like. In the actual tutorial itself, I have made it so that you can literally just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it as high as you want. Very cool part of any of your cities. This build is an ice cream truck from the game Fortnite. Once again, I've made a lot of Fortnite related builds. And if you wanted to have this in a regular city or in your Fortnite world, then this would fit in very well. This is what the ice cream trucks look like, and it's kind of like a cool little thing just to add to a regular city if you like. It's not a bad looking ice cream truck. Next up, we have my modern mansion cum jungle modern treehouse, however you want to call it. It's a modern style mansion built using some jungle wood and other modern materials, and it is meant to be placed kind of like in a jungle setting. It actually looks really cool, just like placed in a jungle that you would find in a survival world. I really like this. It's very spacious as well, as the fact it's quite easy to make too, and it just looks kind of awesome, or at least I like it. This is a clock tower from Tilted Towers, or the clock tower you might say, and this is from Fortnite again, the Fortnite Tilted Towers clock tower. If you like Fortnite, you'll want to build this. I'm sick of saying this is from Fortnite. I've made so many Fortnite builds. And it doesn't stop. Here is a tomato head statue house that you can make if you like. And not only tomato heads, we have kind of like a default skin house statue. You can see it even has a couple of doors on there holding a couple of pistols. This one actually doesn't have a tutorial, I believe, but the Tomato Man definitely does. Yeah, I promise there aren't too many more Fortnite related builds. I know that it's a bit of a touchy subject on YouTube at the moment. Here we have a large modern house. It has 4 separate floors, plenty of ways to maneuver around the house. It's very green. It has a nice little amount of trees and flowers surrounding the house, and the best part is one of the floors is actually down below here, like it's actually underneath the house, which is really cool. So it really does break into several different levels, and it's kind of a fun modern house to explore and walk around. This is a design for my modern underwater mansion that also isn't underwater. Yeah, it is underwater in the actual tutorial, but you guys know how it is by now. So this is the above part, this is the above water. It actually sits directly on the water. It's a very modern, almost futuristic design, and it actually goes underwater through the use of this like tube here. This is the main sort of pod, and it splits into 4 separate pods individually, which allows you to use each room for a particular purpose. Very cool underwater build. So says me. This is a modern A-frame house. It even has a capital A as an entrance. A very cool, really easy modern build that you can make without too much effort and time. And it just looks really nice. There's just something about it all flows together very well. I love A-frame style houses, and I've only made a handful of them. And this is definitely probably my favorite one out of all of the ones that I have made. I don't often see modern style ones. They're typically survival, if anything. I don't know what this is. This, believe it or not, is a house. This is a giant gumball machine. You guys know how these work. You put your money all the way up top here. You twist the thing, and a gumball falls out the top, and it slowly rolls all the way down this little spiral here, and it will pop out the bottom, and then you have a gumball. The cool thing about this house is that you can kind of reverse the roll. You can be a gumball coming all the way up this tube right here. Eventually you come all the way up the spiral, all the way up to the top, and you can see inside is a little house. So it's kind of like a really cool thing to actually live inside of, if you like. Very different style of house, and it's just a mental thing to put in your worlds. This is one of my favorite builds that nobody likes but me. This is a modern cloud castle. So we have a cloud with a little bit of a modern style castle built on top of it. Has a nice little working interior. You can kind of see through the windows a little bit. Maybe not through that one, but the actual tutorial version is all nice and made up very well. And the way that you get up to it is you climb up this little rainbow here. You actually climb up the water and you can get on top of the castle and all sorts. And it looks a little bit insane just to have this floating around in your survival worlds. And maybe it's too insane because barely anybody has built this, but I still love it regardless. This is a popular MMO's plush toy statue, aka Pat. You guys know who this is? I love plush toys, especially when they're in Minecraft and when they are statues. This is a cute mini Enderman survival house. You can actually climb up the Enderman's leg, and inside you might be able to see a couple of beds and some paintings, and you can even climb all the way up into the head, and there is a cool little survival base hidden inside of this adorable Enderman statue. Here we have a tiny modern style treehouse. I absolutely love this. I love small builds, and I love it when they're a little bit different. This is really, really tiny, yet awesome. So easy to build modern style treehouse. I love how this thing looks. There's just something about it. This is absolutely perfect to me. I love this treehouse. Another one of those builds that nobody else but me likes, but hey, what can I say? This is one of the very, very many Tom and Jerry houses. There's so many different films, so many different iterations of the cartoon that I just couldn't pick a specific house to make. So I just did kind of settle on the end with this one. This is Tom and Jerry's house from one of the iterations of the cartoons. Maybe it's one of the films, but hopefully you guys would recognize it as such. And it's a cool little house to have. Like it looks just like a straight up suburban house, if nothing else. So it's kind of another one of those cool builds to kind of just put it in your suburbs and just leave it and see if anybody even recognizes it. If you like Mickey Mouse, I bet that you'd like a Mickey Mouse plush statue. Kind of cool. I like him quite a bit, and he makes a very distinctive statue. Here we have a design for a modern underwater house. It actually looks great above water as well. In the tutorial, you'll be able to see how nice it does look underwater, and you'll be able to see how it's all made on the inside. It's very big, very easy to make, which is kind of essential if you ask me when building an underwater base. And yeah, it's just got like quite a nice design. I really like how this one goes. And again, it's one of those ones that nobody else cares about but me. This is a tomato head plush toy statue. Actually, surprisingly, one of my favorite ones that I've ever made. For some reason, I have an obsession with Mr. Tomato Man. He even has a little backpack. He's got his little stalk on top of his head. He's got his mustache, his mouth and everything. There's just something about it. I just really like it. We have a Gaming with Jen plush toy statue now. This goes very well with the Pat statue. If you're a fan of the channel, I'm sure that you'd like to make both of these in a pair. Or an apple, or a banana, or you guys get the joke. Trump Tower from Fortnite. It's actually kind of an awesome build. It's kind of like a random build that, again, I'm sick of saying this, but kind of also not. A build that you can just chuck in a city, and it just looks like a business building. You could kind of turn it into like a pizzeria, or a shopping area, or any sorts of things. But originally this is from Fortnite from Tilted Towers. It's known as Trump Tower for some reason, don't ask me why. Here we have an adorable little mini Ghast statue house. I have taken a Ghast, made him all nice and cute, shrank him a little bit, and I've actually turned him into a house, so much so that you can even climb up one of his little tentacles here and you can live inside of him. I love this thing. I love turning mobs into houses, and I'd highly recommend building this if you love little statues and stuff like this. I don't really recognize this guy. This is some random YouTuber that I turned into a plush statue. He's kind of cool, loads of different colours, nice and colourful. You can even live inside the statue if you like. If you want to build this, I wouldn't recommend it, then you can down below in the description. This is a cute phantom statue that I never made a tutorial for. I really like him. It's a shame that I never made a tutorial. Maybe I will in the future on the second channel. I'm just remembering how adorable he is. He really is like, I don't know. I like making cute versions of mobs. I just never upload them. This is an Instagram house. I know guys, but I had to do it. This is the Instagram logo, made all nice and massive and 3D, and it actually functions very well as a house. It's kind of massive on the inside. If you'd like to make this is actually on the second channel, as are quite a few of the builds that we've seen. I kind of feel bad for making this, I don't know why. This is the Flintstones car. I'm sure that you guys know the Flintstones. Fred Flintstone can often be seen running along with the car. It is foot powered. A very cool little build to add to your cities. I've even made the house as well, which you'll be able to find in the video that I actually show you how to make the car individually. Mr. Bean's car. If you like Mr. Bean, you'll know that this is his little mini that he has. I've actually made the actual, the house itself as well, Mr. Bean's house, but I have made the car individually too. You'll be able to find both very, very easily down below. This is the fan lair from the show Fanboy and Chum Chum. Kind of a cool build to make, very interesting. It's kind of like a big water tower balanced on top of some sort of like shop / buildings. Very cool, very distinctive as well. I really like it actually. And it kind of reminds me, if you guys have ever played Final Fantasy, do you know what a Moogle is? The top of this reminds me of one. You might have to Google Moogle. M-O-O-G-L-E. This is a tiny little survival starter house. Very easy to make. Really cool design. A little bit intricate as well in the fact that you can climb up and down it in a multitude of ways. Cool little house. I definitely recommend making it in your survival worlds. This is an unspeakable gaming head house. For whatever reason, I decided to make it just because it's nice and colourful and distinctive. And it turns out that inside of a person's head, you can fit quite a lot. This is a nice little a nice little base. I was going to say a starter house, but how can you make it? You can't really have a starter house that's made out of coloured concrete. But it is kind of like a cool little base to hide away in your world if you ever wanted to make something that's a little bit wacky. And if you like unspeakable. Here we have a petrol station. This is a really cool build, especially to add to your cities. It has a little bit of a shop attached as well, a couple of pumps, and next to it, although it doesn't have a tutorial, I included a car wash as well. So you would go from the petrol station, if you wanted to, you'd like come out here or over there, and you could either go through the car wash or you could just exit accordingly. Kind of a cool build just to have in your city. It kind of pads it out a little bit, and of course you can have multiples of these as you would have multiples of these in a city. This build actually looks better in the tutorial, but the idea for this is very simple. We have a fishbowl, inside of it a little SpongeBob house, and to get inside the fishbowl it's actually a little bit tricky. It's actually got a hidden entrance. I'd highly recommend checking out the video because it is kind of like a really cool build. So says me. If you are a fan of Disney or Winnie the Pooh, then you will love this one. Not only do we have Winnie the Pooh's house, I really love this. It's a nice little survival feeling tree house, but we've even got Winnie the Pooh himself kind of like poking in on us from the bushes. I really like this little build here. If you like Christopher Robin, for instance, then the movie, then you might want to make this and check this out in all of its glory. I'm a massive fan of Disney stuff. I have a special place in my heart for it. So whenever I get recommended to build stuff like this, I really love building it. Here we have the modern and updated Fireman Sam's fire station. This is a really distinctive, colourful build and looks nothing like the original version of the fire station that I remember from growing up, but it's kind of like an awesome build. I hope that you guys like it. If perhaps you've got some younger siblings, or you're kind of young yourself, or if you're just kind of like a fan of Fireman Sam, then you might want to build this. It's a really awesome build. It's easier to make than it looks, trust me. It looks a little bit intimidating, but it's absolutely nice. A really cool build to have. And you know what, you could even just use this as a fire station if you wanted to in your city, because why not? For some reason, as I'm zooming in on this, I'm hearing the music from Jumanji. This is Tomato Temple from the game Fortnite. Don't worry guys, this is the second last build that has any Fortnite related stuff involved with it. Tomato Temple, really awesome build. It's exactly like the temple from the game. It was a nightmare to design it, but it's actually incredibly easy to make. I'd highly recommend it for you Fortnite aficionados out there. I'm sure that you would absolutely love that. Or you Fortnite dolphinados, or you sharkinados. I'm gonna stop right there. You guys get it. This is a Spider-Man survival house. Spider-Man shooting out some web, and he's kind of like poised for battle, and you can actually live inside of him. You can see you can climb up inside, up the torso, and live inside the head. Based on the Spider-Man from Spider-Man Infinity, like one of the costumes from there. It's like a cool modern redesign of the costume that isn't too different from the actual regular Spider-Man costume itself, which is why I decided to build it, because it's kind of awesome. That and the game also came out, so I thought it was a good time. This is a sleek little modern house that I'm not sure I've even made a tutorial for, to be completely honest with you, but it is a nice little modern house. I actually really like it. And in making and designing this, it actually inspired the next one, which is one of my favorites that nobody likes. This is one of my favorite modern houses that nobody likes. It's a multi-level modern style house that you've got to explore to get around it. There's kind of like, it's sort of like a holiday fun home. And the house is special because it has a water slide attached to it. It's kind of got like a Mario style plumbing pipe that you slide all the way down. I really love this house, but again, it's one of those that nobody else likes but me. But hey, I still love it. And you can kind of see the similarities a little bit between both these houses. I really loved the design of the one on the left, so I kind of took a little bit of that and I made it a little bit crazy. I really love this house. Slash mansion. It's kind of big. This, whilst it might not look like it, is actually a cool little build based on the game Baldi's Basics. This is one of Baldi's classrooms. You can see the notes and stuff hanging around as a little bit of an Easter egg. We have Baldi himself with a stick ready to whack you. We've got some school desks, the really creepy interior, and a little desk all the way up at the front as well. Cool little build, especially if you like the game, or at least like watching the game. Here we have an awesome suburban house. I absolutely love the look of this one and the materials that I used. I don't know why, because there's no reason for it, and I'm still going to tell you anyway, even though it makes no sense. Reminds me of the Simpsons house. I do not know why. I have absolutely no idea, but that's what it reminds me of. I doubt anybody else is reminded of it through this, but it reminds me of it for some weird reason. Awesome survival house, so easy to make. Suburban house, not survival. I always get those two words mixed up for some weird reason. I would highly recommend making it. It's such a cool house. I love it. This is the last Fortnite build that I ever designed and never made a tutorial for. This is the Hero Mansion from the game Fortnite. You won't be able to make this actually. I was going to say you'll be able to make it by checking out the description below, but I actually have not made a tutorial for this, and I don't know whether I'm going to. If I do, I'll put it on the second channel, and yeah, that'll kind of be that. I don't actually like the build that much because I had to use a load of regular terracotta, and it kind of makes the build look really flat from the front like this. Like there's absolutely like no definition in it whatsoever. The only way that you get that is by spinning around it a little bit, but it's kind of cool, especially if you like Fortnite. It does look a lot like the actual mansion itself, but it just doesn't translate that well into Minecraft. Here we have a Preston Plays statue head house. For some reason, after making Unspeakable, I had the urge to make Preston's house as well, or Preston head house. I don't think it even has a tutorial, but maybe I'll even post it, because I think I actually made it but never uploaded it for some weird reason. This is such a cool, creepy horror build. I'm sure that you guys know who Pennywise is from the movie It. Well, part of the film is that Pennywise, lives in the sewer. This is the opening to a sewer via a drain, and inside we have a little Pennywise lair with a couple of Easter eggs from the movie. Very creepy, very fun to make. It's on my second channel and one of my favourite horror related builds that I've ever made. So ominous looking at it. This is an awesome giant spruce tree house. Need I say more? It's got multiple levels, looks really cool, it's really easy to make, and also somewhat reminds me of Oreos. I wonder if you guys get that as well. Feel free to check it out. Here we have a simple modern house. It's quite large, really easy to make, and it's just a really clean, simple design. That's part of what draws me to certain modern houses. I either go crazy with them, or I go really simple and sleek. This one's simple and sleek. This is Apple and Onion's house from the show Apple and Onion. It's much more of an apartment building, and it's very detailed, especially on the front. It's even got a really cool roof as well, so if you're familiar with the cartoon at all, you might want to make this. I'd highly recommend it. It's a really cool build to have, and one of those that also does, I'm going to say it again, that dreaded phrase, fits into a normal city. Here we have Grandma's house, or Mama's house. I cannot remember which it is. from aka the Greens house from the show Big City Greens, I believe it's called. It's another cartoon. I'm sure that you recognize it if you are familiar with the cartoon at all. One of my sort of favourite cartoon builds that I've made just because of how extensive the build is. I show you how to make absolutely everything that you see on the screen, and the back garden even has an awesome little barn and farm. I really like it. It's a really cool build, and I've made it sort of recently. Here we have Granny Horror's house from the game Granny Horror. Believe it or not, she has a house, and it looks exactly like this. You might not believe it. It's quite a normal looking suburban style house, but yeah, it's kind of this. In the actual version of in the actual video where I show you how to make the proper version, it's kind of like built around in a forest. It's really creepy and eerie looking. It's a cool house. If you take away all of the light grey and stuff, it actually works very well as just like a modern sort of suburban style house. This is a tiny little mini version of Baby Corp from the movie Boss Baby, and it is meant to serve as Boss Baby's little hidden away hideout. I thought this was a cool build. I was alone. This is a pretty awesome modern style house that once again requires a lot of exploration. It has plenty of little hideaways. For instance, the only way to get to certain parts of the house is to actually explore and walk into them using several different routes, including up here. Like, the only way to get all the way up to the top is through the little walkway and up those stairs. And it's one of the cooler modern houses that I've made. Very easy to make, a little bit smaller than your average mansion. And yeah, pretty cool modern house. This is Mike Myers' house from the original Halloween. I know that the new version just came out, but this is the original version. Very easy to make, very creepy looking, and I would absolutely recommend it for you horror fans out there. Did I just say horror? I said horror. This is what I had to build for a thumbnail for a video. This is a modern underground base. The way that you get inside the base is you climb down this set of quartz stairs that you kind of just leave around in a world, and all you have to do is just like walk through a door. There's nothing really special about it other than that. And it's a cool little underground base. You'd have another wall there. You'll be able to see in the actual video itself. It's just a really nicely designed modern underground base that you can kind of make absolutely anywhere. Cool thing just to kind of like come across in a survival world, if you ask me. This is Courage the Cowardly Dog's house. In the tutorial, I show you how to make Courage's house, the truck, and absolutely everything that you see on the screen pretty much. Very cool little build. Courage the Cowardly Dog is a cartoon. I don't know whether I've mentioned that or whether you know already, but if you're a fan of Cartoon Network cartoons or Courage the Cowardly Dog, I'm sure that you'd like to give this house a go. Here we have a suburban townhouse. I showed you a modern townhouse earlier. This is a suburban townhouse. It can be built alone or in a row. I actually messed this one up a little bit. The middle part is slightly bigger than the other two parts, but you still get the idea of how it would look all pieced together. It's a pretty cool house. I really like it. It's a really cool design, and it looks great just by itself. I show you what it looks like by itself in the video as well, so if you're kind of on the fence of building it, then just have a look and you'll be able to see whether you like it or not individually. Earlier, I showed you Pennywise's hidden sewer base. This is the actual house that the kids in it actually encounter Pennywise, and then he kind of retreats down into the sewer from there. Very cool build, definitely a must do if you are into horror. This is Pennywise / its house. The last thing that I'm going to show you is Gumball's house from the show Amazing World of Gumball. This is a really easy build. It's a bit of a simple version of Gumball's house, but it's really awesome, so easy to make and so distinctive, and albeit a cool suburban style house if you're not into the show itself. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all I am going to be showing you in this video. If you have enjoyed this video, I really do hope that you have left a like. I really didn't have another plan to do today, like I really didn't have another video to make, but I just thought it would be cool anyway to show you guys what it is like in my creative world. You can see there is a massive variance in what I make. I don't just build one thing, I go through all sorts of like weird phases. Like you'll be able to see that I went through a Fortnite phase, building all that sort of stuff, and then a modern phase, and cartoons, and suburban, and so on and so forth, and horror. Like I go through weird little phases, and I just thought it might be cool for you guys to see what I have been building, well, from the past up into quite recently. If you'd like to see another video just like this one, maybe in a few weeks time or maybe even a month's time, however long it takes me to build a load of cool stuff, and the video probably wouldn't be as long as this one, then do let me know, and please do like the video if you have enjoyed it. If you do want to make anything that you have seen in this video, I am going to be individually numbering each build. That will be incredibly painstaking, and I hope that you guys appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gents. I had fun going down memory lane, this was kind of fun to show off, and I look forward to maybe doing another one of these in the future if you guys did enjoy seeing all of my builds. Goodbye!